Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bengal Tiger Podcast. I'm Matthew Brune. Joining me once again is Shea Dixon. And Shea, it is Tuesday, October 22nd, and it's time for a little bit of Mailbag. How you feeling?
Should be a positive one. I'd never read them beforehand because I want to give my honest opinion and thought right then. But the most complete game of the year was just played in the 34-10 win over Arkansas. If you check the previous podcasts on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, whatever you listen to, we broke that down in detail. But I'm sure now we'll have a bit more of it. Maddie B, all of these questions coming from subscribers on the Bengal Tiger, as we always do. Shout out to them. We continue to grow. So many people have been with us for years and years and years. Others have joined recently, but the deal of the day, the deal of the week, which we've got going on until the end of the week. Yeah, today's 22nd. $1 for 1 week, and then you get $4.99, less than $5 a month, monthly for an annual membership. Carries you through all of the signing days, through the rest of the season, into next season. So beyond the midway point of next season. So we would very much appreciate it if the Bengal Tiger folks out there, LSU fans, rallied and continued to grow. Because as we said, Matty B, I've got my sights set on a couple of sites out there that we can pass up if we continue to grow. But look, we've added Julie, Jarrett, we've got Billy, Tyler from the student side covering recruiting. We've got a squad now. Time to deliver.
Yeah, we need a tracker or something. Not on a specific site, just in general. A tracker. Be like, hey, we need this many to.
I can do that. I can
up.
share that. I can bring the behind the scenes data a little bit forward, front facing.
Just tease it a little bit. But yeah, Mailbag. We'll see if we can keep it under an hour. We'll do our best.
You just said that you totally ruined it. All right, we need to start fast then. Just like LSU, get out to a quick lead. You ready?
Apparently, yep, I'm good.
Let's get it. Texan Tiger 2, Matty B, have you shaved your beard yet? Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube, you would know. Now that looks like a trim up.
I did trim it a little bit.
I saw a video that you posted in reaction to a commitment Will Wade got, and there was an angle to it and a day to it. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Maybe he got one. Matt McMahon got Matt McMahon's third top 75 commit. Jalen Reese, I believe it was, but it could have been the lighting. It could have been the balcony at your apartment, but that day looked like you had grown. You were giving it a run.
It was a mess. It was a mess that day, and the angle was kind of like low-ish. But yeah, it was. I was just pulled out my phone. I was sitting on the balcony. Beautiful day outside, and I was like, let's just talk for 2 minutes.
It was an aggressive look going into it. The No Shave November. I'll say that.
It was a mess. It was. I have trimmed, but no,
so
I have
if
not.
You're watching on YouTube. It is not shaved, but it is trimmed. Was there a ban bet? Were you gonna have to shave it if
people? So yeah, we didn't even give context here. People were saying, hey, you picked Arkansas, LSU won, you have to shave your beard. Like there needs to be a punishment here. And so that's why they said, have you shaved your beard yet?
And I'll give you the double context, Matty B. Many listeners who have been members. See, if you're a member of the Bengal Tiger, or if you've been following us around, this is the kind of gold you get on the message board. It had to have been a decade ago. Whenever Cam Robinson and that group were coming out of high school, he was one of, if not the top player in Louisiana. And they had gone to his practice, and the national guys had started a thread. He's been recruited by a lot of teams, but Bama and LSU were the two fighting. They started it on the Bama board about being at his practice, then started on the LSU board. A number of people on our board, I'll give you guesses as to which one of them, who are still around, began trolling so hard that it wasn't started on the LSU board first, that our old friend Kip, back in the UGA days, had very proud sideburns, and he and Keith Niebuhr, who runs our Florida site at On3, were the ones driving around, and Keith was sending me text live, and he was like, Kip's getting shredded in that thread. They're trolling him and he doesn't realize it. And they said, Kip, will call it even if you shave off your sideburns, which he was like an Elvis. He was very proud of him. And like an hour later, he posted a picture and they were just gone. And he was like, are we good now? And everyone was like, we were just kidding, bro. So you didn't fall for it. You did not show up with a clean face today. But
No.
Kip
Trust
went
me.
10 toes down. Matty B just trimmed it. That's it.
Yeah, no, not doing that.
Hey, we'll check in on Friday and see if you pick LSU or A&M.
Yeah.
But no Texan Tiger, no beard has been shaved, just trimmed. Germans asked, what's Tyree Adams' injury? When is he supposed to be back? He had surgery. I don't know the exact injury, and I'm not trying to like avoid any HIPAA here. I don't know what the exact injury was, but he's out for the year. So my guess would be if the whatever recovery timetable is, does it get him back for spring ball, or is it a thing where you're back for fall camp? It's notable because he was the top backup tackle on this team. Now they have depth, but you want him ready, Matty B, for next year.
Yes. And knock on wood, they don't need any backups.
Yeah, that's what I said before, right? You need these guys to just stay healthy the rest of the way.
Yes, just everybody stay healthy, everybody stay clean. They've done a tremendous job, so hopefully it doesn't end up mattering. But it is notable because he is that sixth man. He is, in my opinion, and I think the coach's opinion, he is the sixth best offensive tackle on this, offensive lineman on this team. So it is significant.
We will keep an eye on it. Look, Weston Davis and others have impressed. Brad Davis has recruited so well on this O-line and developed them, but we haven't seen the development beyond the on-field development from these same guys who have started for multiple years now, some of them 3 years in a row. So it's going to be an interesting offseason in that regard. But yes, Tyree Adams out for the year as a backup at OT. Now you just hope that you do get him back at some point where he's ready for next season. Irish Tiger 18 said, Jordan Allen did not travel with the team. What's up with that? He's a DB safety. He started at the beginning of the season. He did have a follow-up, but thought there initially on Jordan Allen, safety, not traveling with the team. Matty B, I've got the season snap counts pulled up right now. Jordan Allen is sitting at 111. So in relative to the other safeties, he has been outsnapped by Deshaun Spears, and then obviously Jordan Gilbert.
He hasn't played in the past 2-3 games. Am I wrong? I'd have to pull the game log up, but he hasn't played much, at least in the past few games.
He's not been listed on injury reports. I'm not sure here. I'd have to look and see if Kylan Jackson is starting to get a little bit more of maybe those backup reps. But I think, look, it could be on one end. Is it a move where I think he's already redshirted before those? So I'm not sure if.
Yeah, his first year was a redshirt. He's a redshirt sophomore.
His first year was what, 2021?
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have been.
No, it was 22-23. So the 2022 season, he played 4 games redshirted. Last year, he played 7 games.
So it wouldn't be that. I don't know if he's gotten academic anything. There could be something off the field, but
there could be a million. It could be a family situation. It could be academics. It could be him being disgruntled. It could be
they did travel Kylan Jackson, and then
it could be disciplinary. It could be a million things that could be with him. Could be outside of his control. I mean,
and you travel how many? 56 or 3, or how many do you travel now?
On the road, it is less. I don't know the number, but it is less.
So I don't know if they had to carry more guys at other positions, and you felt like Major and Jordan and Sage and Kylan would be enough for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't
keep an ear to the ground. Okay, we'll double back on that, Irish. But his other one was, what's wrong with the Nuss deep ball, and why does he throw it to Aaron Anderson, our shortest receiver, into the deep corner of the end zone? Matty B, that was an NFL throw. I think it was a Kyron Lacey or someone else who may have caught it. I'm not going to nitpick one play like that. Aaron Anderson could have come up with that play, and then everyone's like, oh, what a grab. Aaron Anderson has already done that in a number of spots despite his size. Do you have something that you take issue with Nuss? Look, you're the Nuss bus driver here, but with his deep ball, I think more than anything, it can kind of sail on him a little bit at times, but he also puts together some throws that no other quarterback makes.
Yeah, I don't think Nuss's deep ball. I think there's a lot of elements that go into it. You can say he's missed it, which sure, he's missed some of them. You could say he doesn't have a top end playmaker vertically, which I think is also true. I think there have been multiple throws down the field that if it was someone who was faster, let's say,
Yeah,
than
right.
CJ.
Yeah. There's a lot of times you throw a deep ball that may have been overthrown to everybody, but you happen to have a Chris Hilton on the team that just goes Brian Thomas who can just go get it.
Again, like Jaden Daniels and them were awesome. It's like if Nuss was throwing to Brian Thomas, it's
Well,
just different, right? It's different throwing to Brian Thomas than it is CJ Daniels, and that's just a fact. So it's like there's elements of he's missed it, but then there's elements of I just don't think they have top end playmakers on the perimeter that lend itself to being an explosive offense down the field. I think there have been miscommunications just in the home games that we've been to. I've pointed out multiple ones where it was they broke off a post route really sharp and he threw it deep, and there's those type of things. So he has the arm to make every throw. I'm really not worried about his deep ball.
No, he doesn't have 2 first-round receivers to throw to. Let's also remember this. Let's put some perspective to it in relative to LSU. How many people, and this is at times, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening here with Irish asking the question, but that there's like some level of our quarterback's going to be perfect. Like he's going to be able to make every throw. People didn't love Joe Burrow year one. They knocked on him for his play. Year two, he's a Heisman winner. People didn't love Jaden Daniels year one. Year two, he's a Heisman winner. People were saying Jaden couldn't throw the deep ball. Jaden wouldn't do this. Jaden couldn't do this. Year two, he plays out of his mind.
Yeah.
Jaden has also started 4 years of college at that point.
Yep.
And he's tearing up the NFL. He's a great player. Nuss has 7 college starts. Like, you're going to witness on-field growth here where things are not going to look perfect at all times. I would say for me, as an LSU fan, I would view it as he has exceeded expectations that I would have for a guy who had started one game, being the bowl game, coming into the season.
Yeah. I mean, he's in general, he has lived up and even surpassed my expectations of how good he is and how good I mean, he's the best quarterback in the SEC. I think it's not even a discussion at this point.
And I think he threw that deep ball to Anderson because guess what? He trusts Anderson and he knew I can go put it in the corner and Anderson might come up with it.
I tweeted it and it has 717 likes, 72 retweets, including a lot of those retweets are from actual
on an
NFL.
incomplete pass.
Yeah, on an incomplete pass. And those retweets are from like NFL, guys.
And Irish's point is it was incomplete. It's staring, but it wasn't like he had to out jump anyone. It was
it has nothing to do with his height, which is what people have keep talking about. Why throw it to Aaron Anderson? I'm like, because it was a beautiful throw and it got 2 hands on it. And it should have been a catch. I mean,
let's continue this. The Lazo asked with the next question. We keep saying we need Chris Hilton in order to blow out the top off a defense, or why do we keep saying that when we've got Aaron Anderson who can absolutely fly? So where does Aaron Anderson's bag of tricks fit?
Because there's a difference.
Because let's be clear here. Aaron Anderson is not a gadget player. Like if you see Aaron Anderson in person, he is not a tall kid, as Irish said.
Yeah.
He plays bigger than that on the field.
He's like what, 5'7" or so?
5'7", 5'8".
Yeah. Because he's not that type of like I don't know if he's fast in like a distance sense. I think he's more quick and shifty. Even though, like you said, he's not a gadget player. I don't personally want him running my fade routes. I don't want him running nines. Like I don't want him running deep posts. I think he is more comfortable also because, even in high school, like he wasn't asked to do that as much. And I've obviously caught deep balls, but it's not something he was doing a ton. And I just think he's more comfortable in the short to intermediate game and doing stuff after the catch. So just because you are fast, I mean, he's fast, but he ran
his PR in high school in the 100 was a 10.77. That's fast, but that's not
as fast as I thought it was going to be.
No, as you noted, it's more of his. He is fast. That's fast.
No, he's fast.
Guys who are breaking 10.5 are like Caden Durham or freaks. Like
I thought he was going to be like 10.5 or so.
And look, it could be now, right? I mean, that
Maybe.
was junior, senior year of high school. He might even have been an early enrollee. That could be his junior year. That was 2021. I don't know. So you do the math. So it's been a number of years since then. I agree with you, though. He's fast. Run him on a vertical route. I think he can do anything for you, and which has been really impressive this season.
Yeah, he's been awesome. But in general, this wide receiving core, as I've said since week freaking 0, is they don't have that top end, take the top off playmaker. Brian Kelly even said it. What was it? Was it I don't remember which press conference it was. He said it was like, we're doing all this, without Chris Hilton, our guy that takes the top off defense. It's like he said that verbatim. And so it's not just like me saying that they need Chris Hilton. It's like Brian Kelly and the coaching staff understand you don't have that top end speed guy that can do that, and they've still been incredibly efficient and really good. So tip of the cap.
Kyron Lacey, obviously your wide receiver one here, is 36 catches. Aaron Anderson 33, Mason Taylor 36, and really not far behind. He's missed a game, 27 for CJ Daniels. He gets about 4 or 5 a game, 4.5 a game, it says. Okay, so let's give him 32.
Yeah.
You'd have 4 receivers that are at 36, 33, 36, 32, and their yardage isn't far off. I mean, Kyron's over 500, but Lacey's at 488. Taylor is a tight ends at 350, and then Daniels, who missed the games, at 325. Again, he gives you about 50 yards a game, so call him closer to 400. They're spreading it out to those 3 more than I thought that they would. I thought that this would be dominated by Kyron, and in a very good way, Kyron stepped up, but so have some others.
Yeah, it's been a good receiving group, and Nussmeier's done a good job distributing to multiple guys. I'm interested to see Mason Taylor had 2 catches last week. I mean, that didn't count. I think he could go for a big game against A&M this week, so throw him in the mix.
We're switching over here, talk about the trenches. Incredible Ned. So it's LSU A&M this weekend, Maddie B. It's in College Station. It's at night. Kyle Field's going to be packed, obviously. But these teams are battling. They're tied at the top of the SEC right now in terms of the conference. No losses at this time. Only one will remain unblemished, Maddie B. When you look at Incredible Blend's question, it was Incredible Ned, I'm sorry. What's more important this week, LSU's O-line versus Texas A&M's D-line, or A&M's O-line versus the LSU D-line? I think it's a great question, and I think I've got my answer.
Okay. I am biased because I just did a full story on A&M's offense.
Okay.
So I'll go with their offensive line versus LSU's defensive line.
That's my answer.
I think that is the right answer because of what A&M wants to do offensively, and because of, I think, the limitations of Connor Weigman. So
exactly.
With them being an inconsistent passing attack, I think first of all, they are, what was the number? 12th in the country, maybe even 10th, but 12th in the country, I believe, in run and play percentage. Like, they're running the ball 62% of the time this year. They want to lean on you. They want to run the ball. I look at them as similar to Arkansas, except I think Taylor Green's a better quarterback than Connor Weigman. So, you look at how they have to run the ball and how consistent they have to be. Like, they're going to just try to punch you in the face repeatedly. I think A&M's offensive line versus LSU's defensive line is the more important aspect here, because if LSU's defensive line holds up, I struggle to see how A&M moves the ball consistently.
There's only at this point, Maddie B, through 7 games in the SEC. There's 4 running backs who have carried the ball more than 100 times this year, which means they're very heavily fed. Mm-hmm. These guys are averaging 15 to 20 carries a game. Dylan Sampson at Tennessee, kid from Dutchtown. Le'Veon Moss at A&M, who they face this weekend, is number 2. Number 3 on that list is Henry Parrish at Ole Miss, and number 4 is Jaquindon Jackson at Arkansas. They just came off facing those 2. Success on both accounts. I mean, on both fronts.
Yeah, no, Jackson got hurt.
Jaquindon Jackson, got hurt, but it was 5 for 30. But they did nothing on the ground.
Yeah, 100%. Like, this is going to be another heavy rushing attack from Ole Miss to Arkansas to this, and they've passed the first 2. And even if you go back to South Carolina,
Weigman doesn't run. Isn't going to run to the level that others will.
He scrambles some, but he doesn't.
That's fine.
He doesn't run. Yeah, you're not worried about him. Marcel Reed is the better runner between the 2, but they won't play him unless Weigman gets hurt.
For those that haven't kept up with A&M, Weigman started. He got hurt. Backup steps in. Backup plays very well. Keeps them undefeated. Now they've gone back to Weigman, won again, and now have announced that Weigman will be starting again this week.
And I'm not even sure that they should be starting Weigman, but they are. So
I'm not going to be surprised if we see both quarterbacks in this game.
Yeah, especially with Colin Klein, the offensive coordinator, and how much he likes running quarterbacks and likes to run the ball. I mean, Marcel Reed is very, very quick. So we'll see. But yes, in general, I do think A&M's O-line versus LSU's D-line is the more interesting and more crucial aspect, because honestly, I just don't have a ton of questions about LSU's offensive line. Like, the pass protection is going to be there. We'll see how the run game goes. I think they're going to be fine in the run game. A&M's defensive line is going to, present some problems. Like, I'm not going to act like that's not going to be a key to this game, but ultimately Garrett's been really, really good about not taking sacks, and the offensive line, even when they do get beat, haven't given up sacks. So I feel like we just know what we're going to get from LSU's offensive line in this game. And on the other side, we don't know how it's going to play out on the other end.
So we're on the same page there. Big Perp asked, and I do think I'll add, I think that LSU's done well enough on the O-line all year, remaining consistent against really great opponents, average ones, to where the flip side will be what you really watch. Big Perp, how is it that we were so how is it that we were able to be so effective against the run given our lack of depth at defensive tackle? Our tackles just playing out of their minds? There's Blake Baker doing something from a scheme standpoint that hides their weakness. I think it's going to be both. I think you also have to credit Baker from the start with saying, I'm going to kind of make up for a lot of deficiencies in my defense with havoc. And they've done that. They pressure, and it gets teams rattled.
Yeah, I think that they are masking some of their deficiencies with that pressure, with having guys like a Major Burns and a Whit Weeks on the front foot constantly, and they're not having to react as much. It's huge. I honestly, rewatching that game, my pick to be the player of the game beforehand was Gio Paez, and he wasn't the player of the game, but honestly,
You wanted to go Greg Penn, which could have been the answer.
Yeah.
Well, Weeks was out of his mind, but
Weeks was
Penn has
probably
played
still
so well.
Yeah. But there were times where Paez and some of these D tackles I thought did a really, really good job just going back and watching it against this run game of Arkansas. So give credit to Bo Davis, give credit to Kevin Peoples. Savion Jones and Braden Swimpson are holding their own as well, setting the edge. But ultimately, I honestly think the biggest thing has been the linebacker play. I mean, they are absolutely swarming the gaps and the holes that they should be in, and doing a really good job there. So that Blake Baker's taken that to another level. But yeah, we'll see this week how they do again.
To give you the breakdown on this defensive tackle, as he mentioned, I think it's also been a rotation, and even guys who've rotated in and played minimally have played well. JVR Suggs getting 8 to 10 snaps a game. He had 8 against Arkansas, and he plays extremely well. Finds his way into some tackles and getting into the backfield, things like that. But Paez led the way, 25, playing on that left side as a DT. Sean Washington comes in as a JUCO transfer. He gives you 6. I mentioned Suggs gave you 8 snaps. Jalen Lee came in and got 4 snaps. Don McKinley, the true freshman, came in and got 6 snaps. Your converted O-lineman and Makandayole came in and got a snap. I guess technically Parashand is a D tackle now, obviously.
Yeah.
So he out-snapped Paez by about 6. He hit 31. But there's Ahmad Bro, the true freshman we weren't talking about, came in as an end, put on the weight. He got 15 reps in the game, which, as I just ran you down every DT that played against Arkansas, that's middle of the pack. So it's a rotation. It's veterans stepping up. It's kind of a bit of everything, but I think I go back to Blake Baker, this defense causing havoc, and that plays well into what these guys can then do.
I agree. Let's go. Yeah, Big Perp has like 5 questions. So
Well, his other one was like, are there plans to give Ibiata Watkins more playing time to give us a deep threat? I think if that were to happen, they would have already done it. They know a timeline on Hilton more so than we do publicly. So no, I wouldn't think so. I think they're trying to just move those guys along, whether Ibiata health-wise or Watkins, true freshman who is a track star that you're trying to get kind of adjusted to the game more as a pass catcher at this level. But he said that the move of Trades Greens to receiver, which is really kind of a slot tight end, just shift him out receiver role, but that it's giving up on stretching the field vertical in favor of more possession type guys. I just view it as getting the best player on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. I don't think there is I would rather have Trey Green on the field than Jelani Watkins and Landon Ibieta. Like, that's just simple to me. So I think you're trying to get the best players and a guy that can create mismatches in Trey Green that you have to account for as a defense. I would rather have him on the field than a freshman sprinter or a Landon Ibieta personally.
1,000,000%. And then he asked, can we win big games, LSU, without having, and he said on this schedule with no explosive component to our passing game. I wouldn't say no explosive component, but I've also said they've already won big games.
Yep.
If you think they have no explosive component, the answer be there for you. They've already won big games with that. I think they have a rhythm. Like, Ole Miss felt like they were trying to go downfield, and is that your explosive passing game? That was the game that they were bad at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they have a running game, which now they seem to have, then they can. Brian Kelly was asked about this on Monday, and he said, look, Nuss is going to be a guy who hits on the high 60s, maybe 70% of his passes, because we will take some shots, but really we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. And when they were really leaning on that at the beginning of the year, he was a 75% completion guy. So there is a point now where he's taken some more shots, I think, Matty B.
No, there is. And they really don't run a ton of screens and like little pop passes like Jackson Dart and Ole Miss do and stuff like that. But yeah, they can definitely win games without the explosive element because I think they've done that and they're still a top 10 offense in the country at the very least. Nussmeier has been the best quarterback in the conference, and they've been perfectly fine. Especially the biggest thing to me, like you said, was finding a run game to balance it out because against Ole Miss, they didn't have a run game, so they weren't balanced, and then they were having to, take some shots when they weren't comfortable, and it just threw everything off. I think now with Caden Durham, I think the offense, I feel a lot better about it.
Then he asked if we had any best guess for a starting five on the O-line next year. If they do lose, let's just take this question of if they lose all four guys who are draft eligible to the draft, both your tackles, both your guards, Tyree Adams and Weston Davis would probably be your tackles. DJ Chester's your center. He'd be your returning starter. I do think they go into the portal for a player. I don't know if that's a tackle or a guard, but that could be one. And then you're picking best available, which could be a variety of people, honestly, because we don't get to see practice right now. But they've signed some really talented guys from Ori Williams to
Mabenga was getting snaps.
Mabenga, Ethan Callaway, Kyrie Lee, Bordelon obviously is kind of that extra blocker right now in a tight end uniform, but does he come back and try to work his way into some sort of starting spot? They've recruited very well. I do think they'll take a portal guy, but they've got guys waiting in the wings here who they feel pretty good about. And like I said, I think they'll have a returning starter, a portal guy, and three guys that Brad Davis feels like have come along the best development-wise.
Yeah, and then I think I would guess they take two portal guys. Not saying that they would both start, but I think I would like a second portal guy there just for depth and insurance and stuff like that, and just to compete. Really, I want to have more competition there. If all four guys leave, I want as much competition as possible.
Coach K7, as always, gave us a shout out. Great job, guys. He did mention this before, but son-in-law is a rebel. The other one's a hog, so he's ready for the holidays. He's made it through his schedule. Yes. He got dubs over his two son-in-laws' teams. So kudos to you, Coach K. Enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas. But he asked with Blake Baker, Bo Davis, Corey Raymond, and he kind of said for sure going to be around as defensive coaches for many years, hopefully the other two as well. Under this kind of assumption, I guess, rate your level of excitement for the defensive potential the next 3 to 5 years on a scale of 1 to 10. So, I think my excitement would be a 10 would be like when you're the Georgia or Bama and an old school LSU defense where you have like 5 first-round draft picks or something. And it's like you ride those guys for multiple years and you're really, really, really elite. 9 would be just a step below that. My goal coming out of the pits of what they've done would be 8. And I think they're on the right track for that recruiting and development wise. So I would put it at 8. As these guys develop, that becomes a 9. And the dream scenario is you're back to not just DBU, but a place that turns out a D lineman, a linebacker, a couple DBs each year that go in the top 30, 40 picks.
Yeah, I mean, I would say 8 as well, somewhere around there, because they are recruiting well and they do seem like they have the coaches in to develop. So, I mean, it's impossible not to be excited when you've come off of 3 straight games of being a good defense. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say like an 8.
Bayou Tiger 96 asked a question that a lot of people are asking right now, and I think there's going to be some rules put into place for this over time. But it's this. It starts with the line of thinking that we've said all year: 10-2 in the SEC will get you into the playoffs. Well, what if everyone's 10-2? That's not going to happen. But if it shakes out to a point where 10-2 looks comfortable, is it more advantageous not to make it? And he said, from given the choice purely from a fan perspective, are you taking a bye into the second round of the playoffs or a home playoff game? No, what bye week lets them rest, mumbo jumbo, LOL, automatic second round, or would you want a home playoff game? Well, in this sense, you would have already won a game, so I guess I'd take the bye. I thought he almost was going in that direction of, would you rather miss the SEC title game, have to play in the opening round, and maybe get to host, then go to the SEC title, have a third loss, and then wonder, wait, are we still getting in?
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of layers to this. If you make the title game,
I added an extra one, but
no, there was
in his scenario, I would rather just have the bye. I'd rather get a week off,
yes,
not have to risk losing a game, and then
yeah.
play somebody.
The goal is to win the national championship, and in
I'll
order to
take
do
a
that,
free pass to get
you
one step closer.
yes, because you don't want to play even if you are.
Okay,
I mean,
so
even if you're a 5 seed and you're playing Boise
there's no
State,
debate there. Yeah, there's no debate there.
like I would still just rather not have to play
What
them.
change? What the part of the debate maybe that you could that I then poured into is, if you make the SEC championship and you win it, you're getting the bye. If you make the SEC championship and lose it, what happens if you're 10-3?
Yeah, you're probably
Are
like
they
an 8
scooping up the
seed.
other 10-2 teams? Do you
I mean,
fall
you
out
might
of
be
the
like
top 12?
you'll make it, but the question is, are you home at that point? Are you an 8 seed? Are you a 10 seed? Or like where the seeding is? And we don't have principle for
If
this.
you
Like this
don't
is
win your conference, you have to finish in the top 12 of their rankings. So,
yes,
yes, I would assume that the two SEC teams in the finals are going to be ranked to a point where
for
the
sure.
loser is not dropping all the way out
No.
of 12.
No, that won't happen, because then it will. If that ever happens, the SEC will be like, all right, well, we're not playing a conference championship game then.
Well, I think that either rules are coming in place or they're just like, well, we won't play. Then we aren't playing conference
Yeah,
championships
that
anymore.
that
We'll
won't
just
happen.
hand it to the winner of the regular
Yeah,
season.
that won't happen. So that they'll put them um, in that respect. Obviously, what was the question, or what was your angle of it again?
Just would you rather make it to the SEC title game
And lose?
and like would you rather make it to the SEC title knowing you could lose, or would you rather finish 10-2 and be within the top 12 enough to know you're getting in and just say we're good on the SEC championship?
I'd still probably want to make the SEC championship game, because you could get a bye. I still think that bye is very important, in theory. The one thing I will add to this conversation, he does say from a fan's perspective, so it's like he's saying like, because in theory a home playoff game
Would be cool.
would be really, really cool, and I mean, but I would think as a fan I would want to win a national championship more
One
than
step
anything.
closer to a national champion.
So yeah, as I wouldn't want like a 7 seed playing a 10 seed. Like if I'm LSU and I have to play, let's just say Penn State at home, or they have to play fill in the blank Miami or something at home. Like I wouldn't like that, as opposed to just getting a bye.
J87 asked, why doesn't LSU use the middle of the field more in the passing game? Arkansas actually utilized that effectively early on, but seemed hesitant to pass. But LSU seemed more hesitant to pass between the numbers. I think this is game by game. I think a good amount of times they have.
I think they have as well. I was trying to pull up Nussmeier's chart, but I can't pull it this fast.
I think it's game by game. Real. I mean, there's games that are going to call for this, games that will call for that. You're setting things up in the run game and then doing this, so it's a variety of things.
Yeah, and I think they do have advantages, like on when we saw with Arkansas, like they were playing off of Kyron Lacey, so they threw a bunch of little short hitches to him. Mason Taylor had some plays to the sideline that were incredible, that should have been catches. I think it gives Nussmeier maybe a chance to read the defense differently. I think it maybe takes out the linebackers and maybe a safety from coverage. Maybe it makes it more isolation based. Like there's a lot of things that we can't know in terms of how comfortable Nussmeier is in terms of what Joe Sloan wants. I do think there's an element of all of this in terms of getting your playmakers in one-on-one situations. And when you bring them over the middle, you might, have some help from a robber, from a safety, from a linebacker that you don't really want. So I don't know the answer. Obviously, I'm not in the quarterback room with them, but that would be my assumption is that they like their one-on-ones with Kyron Lacy on hitches, on little outbreaking routes and stuff like that. Same with Mason Taylor. They don't want to get other defenders involved here, and maybe it's easier for Nuss as well. He can also roll out into those throws, which he's comfortable with.
And I think we could see more of it. We've seen it at many points this season where they've hit the middle of the field some. So I'm with you though. It's situational, and with Arkansas, that's what it called for. And then how much do you attribute the vastly improved play of the defense with the coaches, with the position coaches teaching better technique, or is it the DC Blake Baker putting them in better positions schematically? It's 1,000% both. Blake Baker's defense is light years where they were from a year ago, but they had no D-line coach. Now you've got Bo Davis and Kevin Peoples, two of the best in the game. You've upgraded in a major way at DC and linebackers coach, and you've upgraded in a major way at secondary with bringing Corey Raymond back and then having a young guy like Jake Olson. So it's Blake Baker, but it's everybody. They upgraded at every spot. Plain and simple. That's why it looks better.
Yeah, the
it's
coaching
the same players
is the difference. The coaching is the difference right now. And
it's the same players without Jacoby and Guillory and Harold Perkins.
They have masked the deficiencies of a lot of these players in a way that I wasn't sure they'd be able to do this year. They've done it very fast. So credit to Major and Sage and Ashton, and
both played huge games,
and all the defensive linemen, everything. They're not flawless players, but they are put in positions right now to excel. So that's good.
Let's get a quick ad read in, Matty B. As is always on the Mailbag Pod, My Perfect Franchise, Andy Luedecke, our good friend over there, has helped out tons of people at the Bengal Tiger. And when it comes to getting into the franchise game, becoming a franchise owner, franchisee, maybe doing it part-time, joining in with others, he's the guy to call. His business has boomed over the past decade. He's owned multiple franchises, and now he's working largely in a consulting role. And that's everything from talking to people about how much money it would take to invest in something, how you can work with it if you're looking to, hey, look, in a few years, I want to save up and do this. And it's a side hustle. It's, I want to quit my job, but what else is out there? He's had all these questions asked to him by Bengal Tiger members, let alone everybody else. But Andy's main thing is, hey, look, it's 100% free for you guys, LSU fans, to call him. 404-973-9901. That's 404-973-9901. Or email him, andy@myperfectfranchise.net. That's ANDY, Andy at myperfectfranchise.net. You can Google it, go to myperfectfranchise.net, check him out. But again, it's 100% free for him to hop on the phone, email, whatever it might be, and just get started with, hey, I have these questions. Hey, how do people get into it? What does the skill set have to be? I like this, but what's out there in that space for me? Or what could I start? And again, he said he gets a lot of questions from parents about my kids coming out of college, what's out there for them in this realm. So give him a shout, Andy at myperfectfranchise.net or 404-973-9901. Let's keep it rolling, Matty B. Debut 1996 asks, can you state how important Zy Alexander, the corner, is to this defense? He tore his ACL midseason a year ago after coming in from Southeastern. He had started every game. Now, I don't know what an ACL recovery timeline is for everyone, but he was ahead of schedule. He missed the first game against Southern Cal. LSU loses. He comes back in week 2. Debut says he feels like he's underrated right now. I just don't think people are talking about him enough. I think that people who are talking about Zy are definitely talking about how great and important he's been. I think if you ask Corey Raymond, he's the most vital piece to the corner room because he's your only veteran, your only really truly experienced guy. And he played a ton at Southeastern, and he's played a ton here. And when you look at the Arkansas game, Matty B, he did not show up on the stat sheet, not at all. Didn't make a tackle, didn't have a PBU. Here's why: they threw at him one time, it was incomplete. He had no missed tackles either. Never ran his way, never threw on him. That tells you all you need to know about avoiding Zy Alexander.
The most praise that you can give to a cornerback is not talking to him, not talking about him in a lot of ways. Now we're going to talk about him because we run a fan site for LSU and he is incredible. But like you said, they didn't throw at him. I kept thinking to myself as the game was going, like, damn, they're throwing at Ashton a lot. And that's no shade to Ashton Stamps, but like they're not throwing at Zy Alexander at all right now. And they did play some zone and stuff, but Zy is extremely comfortable in zone. We knew that from day one. And so Zy Alexander has been incredibly important. He's been a top 3 player on this defense, I'd say. And him holding down the back end, his ability to kind of take guys out of games. And he wasn't matched up one-on-one with Andrew Armstrong a ton or anything like that, but his ability to do his job consistently should not be overstated. So I do want to say he has been excellent to this point. And if we don't talk about him, it's because, like you said, they're not throwing at him, which is very, very good. So take that as a compliment.
Then he asked about any status update on Derek Meadows. He's one of LSU's 4-star wide receiver commits. I will drop some thoughts on that on the board later today, tomorrow. I'll make a couple calls, but Wilt Fongen mentioned Notre Dame still recruiting him. So are others. That's commonplace for any kid in the top 100, considered everyone's pretty much committed now. So you just try to flip guys. But I'll have you guys updated on the board with that. Cotton was king for young Matthew. Blake Baker, Hardwood, one-on-one. His white boy of the year is on the line, who's getting the dub. I'm going to need to look up some Blake Baker.
Is Whit Weeks not in this conversation?
No, he did not put Whit Weeks in there. You don't get anything there. Blake Baker in college, 5'10", 236. Is trimmed up since then. I'm not going to say he's at 236 now, but
good shape still. Good shape still. How old is he?
I'm taking
how old's Blake? 40?
He graduated high school in 2000, so like 42. Yeah. 42 maybe?
42.
Better not be I could get him. Clear Lake grad.
I have a chance if he's 42.
Letterman as a linebacker, played a ton at Tulane.
I got a chance if he's 42.
All district running back. All district D lineman.
Yeah, I got a chance. If he's 42 for sure.
2002, battled through injuries to play 12 games and record 50 tackles, including 32 solo stops. This man's playing injured, Matty B. I don't care about age.
I gotta play through the physicality for sure. He's gonna.
Well, he's from Houston, so we've got a San Antonio Houston battle going here. We'll see. I'll try to get this set up.
Yeah, your job. Get it set up. I'll be there.
He may just body you though all game.
I'm not worried about that. I've had people taller than 5'10" try to post me up for a long time.
225?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not worried about that.
All right, we're clipping this.
We'll see if you can.
We're clipping this. Good one, Cotton was king. Rustin 97. Given the defense has shown so much improvement this year, how much more room for improvement do they have? What's their ceiling? I think we're getting closer to it, right? You're not shutting anyone out. But when you're going on the road and holding Arkansas to 10, when you're at home and holding Ole Miss to 24 or whatever it was, that's there. Like you're getting there. I think at this point, it's continued improvement to the point of stability.
I will say this. It helps that it looks like the SEC is in a major quarterback shortage. And I don't think the rest of the offenses on their schedule are really scary for the most part. Now, Alabama, clearly. Vanderbilt, maybe. Florida just put up 48 on Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, and the DJ Lagway. You've got
honestly,
Weigman, Milroe, Lagway, Pavia,
and then Oklahoma.
And then they're playing, as of now, Jackson Arnold's back in. I read this morning. OU's playing quarterback dominoes out there, or shuffle, I should say.
Yeah. They got rid of my boy Seth Luttrell.
They did. RIP to him. NT forever.
And this is
What's
one of the
this?
more tougher stretches of offenses in the SEC that you could have. Now that I think about it,
So
because
the answer, I think, should just be that you're there, and if you can just keep improving to the point where you're maintaining this level of production against these opponents, whether it may waver to 24 points to 10, judging on who you play, to me, that's good enough. That's where I need to see them.
they are more than good enough right now. If they continue to play at this level, the level they played at against Arkansas and Ole Miss, if they play at that level, they will be in the playoffs and they'll have a chance to win a game or two. Like they're going to be real contenders here. So, how high is their ceiling? I don't think it's super high because I don't think the talent is really there. No disrespect. I think they are good players, but they are definitely, again, credit to Blake Baker and this staff. They are getting the absolute most out of what they have right now. That is something that should not be taken for granted. That's not something that is common. That is an exceptional coaching job from Blake Baker and them to get the most out of this team on defense. So if they repeat this performance against A&M, they're going to win that game too. And then you go and you play a good offense, Alabama, and then you go from there. Like, we'll see. But the way they're playing right now, I don't think they need to be like game. I don't think they need to be world beaters. They don't need to be 2022 Georgia to, make the playoffs. They just have to be good, and they are good right now.
I thought this was a good question here from Boudreaux Badger. He said, "Hey guys, love all the content. Thank you very much, Boudreaux. We love you too." And he talks about the questions about Weigman. Do we get the Mississippi State Weigman or the Mizzou Weigman? And what he's getting after here is that they just beat Mississippi State. They got outgained by Mississippi State. Weigman's 15 for 25. He throws for
Terrible.
200. He hits a touchdown, but he threw 2 picks in that game.
Yeah.
The week prior at Missouri, he's 18 of 22 for nearly 300. He doesn't throw any touchdowns or picks, but they obviously do enough. He even carried it 5 for 33 that game to win 41-10 against the top 10 Missouri team at the time. I mentioned he had been hurt. He started the season that Notre Dame lost 12 of 30 with 2 picks and no touchdowns. Plays that McNeese game. You barely play at all. They blew him out. And then he was done, right, for a month. That's when things ended for him. Took back over, and that's been the result. So he's had a game where it's really solid coming back off the injury, and then a week ago against State, rusty, didn't look great. He is the starter this week. Obviously you're not a mind reader or a game reader here in terms of how Weigman's coming out, but are you leaning more towards a very efficient Weigman or this one that we saw in these 2 other games that mattered where it was, whoa, you threw a couple picks and weren't very good?
Yeah, I don't trust him. I went into the year actually fairly high on Weigman because of what he did, as a freshman.
A&M fans hated him after the Notre Dame loss. They didn't want
and
him.
then
They wanted him benched.
It flipped really quickly when you watched the Notre Dame game. You watched the Mississippi State game. Even Missouri, I thought, was such a dominant performance as a whole. I don't think Weigman had to do much at all, really. Now he did play well, like he threw the ball fine, but I lean more towards him being an inconsistent passer, a guy who will miss some throws high that have been picked off this year consistently. Like I put it in my story, like the Notre Dame game, just misses a guy 4 feet high and safety comes, picks it off. Like same thing happening against Mississippi State. The decision making is not great, especially if LSU can get pressure on him. I think this game comes down to A&M's run game a lot more than it does Weigman. If Weigman has to throw the ball 30 times, there's trouble. It's like I said, it's similar to Taylor Green in Arkansas, except I think Taylor Green's a better player than Connor Weigman. Like I just do. And maybe I don't know if that's a hot take, but I feared Green a lot more than I do Weigman.
I think both quarterbacks play this weekend.
Yeah.
He asked, what's your favorite horror or scary movie, Matty B? Halloween's upon us soon.
Oh, Coachella asked that. We moved down a question.
We did. We skipped one. Yeah. Okay. We're up to Coachella. Well then go ahead and knock that out from Coachella.
Favorite horror scary movie. Hereditary. I watched Hereditary. Funny story.
He's picking Hereditary, not you.
Yeah, I'm not picking it. But he picked Hereditary. Funny story about Hereditary real quick. I bought tickets late when it first came out, and the only seats available were at the very, very front. I was like, I don't know how old I was, 17, whatever it was, at the very front. So I watched it's the only time I've ever sat in the front row of the movie theater, and it was for Hereditary. And if I'm sitting there like this and watching dude's head get cut off, fire, like it was crazy. So anyways, I would not take Hereditary. Favorite horror movie off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to answer this. I'll answer on the board, but I'm trying to think. I feel like I've watched a good amount, but I haven't watched like all of the classics. Like I haven't watched the 80s horrors, like the Nightmare on Elm Street or the
Okay, we'll make you a list.
I mean
Did you watch Get Out?
Yes, Get Out was good.
Okay,
Oh,
so you're in
I'll give you this one. I thought Us was really well done by Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
I liked Us quite a bit, and that's more of like I don't know. That's not
Yeah,
like
see, some of this could be
thrill
just
horror, like
drama or
it's like a thrill horror, like somewhere like that. But anyways, that's the first one. I really liked Us by Jordan Peele.
okay. I'm of a different generation, obviously, but I'll go Silence of the Lambs for me, or
Yeah,
Jaws. They're up there.
Did you watch the two Jeepers Creepers movies?
Watched all the Final Destinations, all that.
Final Destinations. See those? I'm not watching the Final Destinations again. I've watched them once.
Yeah.
It's more than enough. But yeah, Jeepers Creepers are always fun. Watched growing up.
Yeah, Halloween is movies are a acquired taste, or just maybe people are there for it because I don't like Pop Out. I'm not into all that. So, and some people love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually have my little. Hold on, let me get. I usually have my. Where is it? There it
Matty
is.
B's gone off stream. He may come back with a power rankings of every movie.
I usually have.
No, it's a doll of some
There
sort.
it is. It's like a Walmart thing I bought like 4 years ago, and I've had it in my closet, and I forgot to put it up this year. So
it's time. There it is.
there it is.
Halloween's upon. It looks like it's a dressing on your mic. That's a nice touch. All right. His actual other question was the wide receiver Mount Rushmore. He's going Jefferson, Chase, Neighbors, Josh Reed, little hat tip to Odell for the impact. I will go Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors. You have to go Malik Neighbors because he set every record. You have to go Josh Reed because he was the one who broke those career records. I'm putting Jefferson on there because he only stayed 3 years and he didn't play a ton his freshman year. So he had a very short amount of time to do it. So did Malik Neighbors, and he reached unbelievable milestones. This is where it gets tough for me. I think the older crowd is going to scream for the Wendell Davises of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Tossing an Eric Martin in there. I grew up in the Dwayne Bowe era and into the Brandon LaFell era. I'm going to put Michael Clayton as my other guy. That's my fourth. Went on to have an NFL career as well.
Yeah.
But before the Odell Jarvis, current BT, Malik, Jefferson, Chase, it was Josh Reed, it was Michael Clayton. Like those were the dudes over the decades prior. So I'll rock with that crew. I'll just make mine modern then. Malik, Michael Clayton, Josh Reed went into the 2000s, and Jets.
I like it. Go ahead.
Oh boy, I'm leaving some guys off that are very, very, very talented players. So
yeah,
shout out JoJo LaFell and all of this. Jarvis. I mean, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Good problem to have when you have a lot of receivers, which LSU always does. Kenny with the Coke. Do you think the Chiefs trade for a wide receiver? I don't know.
Well, they didn't trade for Devontae Adams, so
no, they did not.
Apparently they don't need it.
Clyde will be back. I'm gonna throw it to him.
There you go.
Michigo 72. The team seems to be very disciplined, except for pre-snap penalties. Is there something they're doing to work on this or fix it, or what do you think the problem is? We can't keep making these same mistakes, and what will be a crazier environment in Kyle Field. I think it's a first-year quarterback with a first-year center.
Yep, it's
and it's not all on them. I mean, like Kyron Lacey was getting. There are other guys getting like false start penalty. Like, and yes, they're definitely working on it. There's no doubt.
Yes, they're definitely working on it. Then it's like you said, it's not just them. It's also they have not been able to handle the shifts.
That's the new thing
linemen
in
are
college
doing.
football is you don't know, like the D line does a shift, but if they all do it and there isn't any hand motion or clapping, then it's okay. And LSU kind of gets caught a lot
Yeah,
by that. But they're not
so
alone in that. Watch every other game. Like it's happening everywhere.
it
So, and
happens a
then you never
ton.
know if they're going to call it on the D line or the O line because both of them stand up and are like, no, that was them.
Yeah, so it's a mess. But regardless, to have 11 penalties for the game on offense alone is staggering.
And they
So,
won
like,
by 24
you can't have
on the
that
road.
moving forward. You cannot have that moving forward. I don't care if you win by a
No, I'm
million.
with you. But
It,
that's how good they were. They
yeah,
still won by 24 on the
it's
road.
like, good gosh, man. 11.
Look, DJ Chester, I'm going to continue to say it. It's growing pains, and it's what T-Bob repeats every week. When you're a first-year center in the SEC and you go on the road, it's loud, you're nervous, and that's why guys who the other 4 starters who have 30-something starts in their belt are more clean at times. But look, Emory Jones had a false start. Like veterans have false starts. They just have to be more tuned in, and I think they will be. Look, I'll tell you this: Brian Kelly has a long history of O-line and development. Brad
Yeah.
Davis as well. If you don't think he's in there on top of it, then which he probably doesn't even need to be. Brad Davis will handle it himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's new quarterback, new OC, so new playbook, and new center and a young center. So doesn't happen at home a lot. It's on the road. So got to be clean for Kyle Field. Hybrid theory, obviously Witz's play is at linebackers elevated the defense, but he believes Sage's move to natural safety positions helped him personally and the unit as a whole. Your thoughts on the trajectory of the safety group as a whole after seeing the improvement of the past 2 weeks? I think Matty B said it well a few weeks ago. After the loss of Harold Perkins and the decision to move forward with Major at star, this is where it's at. You need Jordan Gilbert, Sage, and Major to play their role and do well each week and not have busted plays, and they've trended in that direction. My confidence is in that they're going to continue to go forward instead of going backwards to where they were at the start of the year.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I think they're getting coached up really well. I think their jobs are simplified. I think especially with Burns and Ryan and Gilbert, like that, they're just in the right positions now. And it's a lot easier to make plays and make the right plays when you're in the right position. So when you're not in the right positions, you have to actually, be a player and, do all this other stuff and make some tackles that you're not used to making and whatnot, where they struggle. But when you're in the right position, life becomes a lot easier. And I think the play of the front 6 has helped them a ton as well. And the play of Zy Alexander has helped them a ton. So yeah, it's all coming together, and they are, I think, the main beneficiaries of that.
Chris, C Money Case, is Oklahoma who we thought Vandy would be? Yes, in terms of
Yes.
which team's tougher, but I think that in many years Vandy's considered a gimme, and I don't think OU's considered a gimme. You have to go out and win the game.
You do.
I don't think there's any gimmies left. But
But
yes,
that is
Vandy's better than OU. Vandy is better than OU, yes.
yes. Yeah. If you're talking about who's better, yeah, Vandy's better. Gosh, Oklahoma's just so rough. But they still have, like, unlike Vanderbilt most years, to your point, it's like it's not like you're going into that game as 35-point favorites, right? You probably not. It's probably going to be like, 20 or something like that. So it's not a complete walkover the way that when you say, oh, Vandy's a walkover, it's not the same exact thing.
Go Tigers 52-80, get right to it. Offense with the pass rush A&M has, do you expect a similar game playing like we had versus Arkansas? Boy, Landon Jackson, former Tiger, he was in the backfield a good bit. No sacks, but made disruptive. A&M's got some good players on the D-line in the front 7.
Yeah.
So he says, is it a similar game plan? Is Durham the key again moving forward? I think if Durham's giving you 100 yards, or if your running attack is giving you 100 and something yards every game, you're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I agree. Game plan wise,
I don't know if the game plan shifts much for me. Now that they have Daniels back and they've moved Trey out there and they have Durham, I kind of think they're going to operate like we saw against Arkansas.
here's the question. Do we think they continue to move around receivers at all? Like with Xavion, like
Yes.
Xavion,
Move them
CJ.
positions?
I mean, snap count wise, like
Yes.
it feels like they've continued to try out some different things here, and I'm just
Yes.
interested if that continues.
I do. I think it continues based upon who they're playing.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think they see little things that
Yeah. I
we
agree.
can do this with Xavier here. We could do this with Trades here. So yes, I think
Yeah.
that they will
Yeah.
continue.
That's the only part. That's the only aspect of it. Other than that, you know what you're getting from Kyron, Aaron, Mason, Garrett, offensive line. I mean, it is what it is. I think against an Arkansas defense, I think A&M's defense is better than Arkansas's by a meaningful amount, but I think the principle is the same of the defensive line being strong. A&M's going to be much better against the run than Arkansas was. Arkansas was
Mhm.
was a weakness we knew that the LSU would exploit, but like you said, with Caden Durham, I do think there is. I go into every game optimistic now with Caden Durham healthy
Sure.
or
All
healthier.
right. And then he said, I know this is hard to pick, and I actually think he's wrong. I don't think it is. He said, who's the most improved player on the defense benefiting from the new coaches? And he said, personally thinks it's Zai because he's looking almost like an all SEC type of corner. That's why I said I don't think it's hard to pick. I think that's the answer.
Yeah,
Like Whit Weeks is exploded. Whit Weeks was a top 100 player coming out of high school.
yeah, we knew it was
Zai
good.
was coming out of Lauraville, playing a bunch of positions, and signed with Southeastern. He wasn't a transfer that anybody but LSU was bringing in. And he played really well last year, but he's elevated his game this year coming off injury. And I can't think that Corey doesn't play some role in that. So between what Corey's coaching and Zai's abilities, I would pick Zai.
Yeah. As a whole, I'm definitely taking Zai. You could pick games. I think, Sage and Major have improved, but that's been recently. Like Zai's been excellent from game one or from game whenever he
Yeah,
got on the
the
field.
game two when he got out
Game
there to
two.
now.
And Braden's taking a step up, and Savion, and all these people everybody's taking a step up. I think Zai has been the most improved though.
I can roll through these next two quick.
Go ahead.
J87 bonus question: when we're going to get Julie and Jared on the pod? We will have them both on soon. Billy and I will have a recruiting one this week, but we were going to get both of them into the mix. We're kind of working everything out with the added pieces to the roster here. And then Hoko Mojo asked, "Are we good?" He doesn't mean that personally. I don't think we are good. Hoko, Maddie B is good with you too. Hoko, yes. If you mean LSU, Hoko said it best. LSU's good.
Yes.
They're not great. They're not elite. They're not bad. They're not okay. They're not bad. They're not terrible. They're not despicable.
Yeah.
LSU's a good football team.
Yeah, we can. I'm looking through the next 6 here. Yeah, we should be good.
That's what it is. LSU's good. Hunter Fournette, would you rather be 98 outside every day, but you gain an inch of height, or fall every day, sunny and 70-ish, but you lose 2 inches? I would just move to California. I would move somewhere where it's 70 every day and avoid this mythological world that he's created here, where I have to get
Good weather
taller,
gets
smaller
shorter.
based upon weather. Yeah, I'd just move.
Yeah, I mean,
I
right
would
now
stay in Louisiana
I mean,
for 2 years, hit 6 foot, move to LA.
Then there you go. Stay in LA a couple years.
6 foot Shea, just enjoying the beach, enjoying the 70s, not losing
You
any
can go
inches.
join Cody Worsham over there.
Yeah. Well, and then if this has to extend to everywhere, then I would just continue to move. I would lose my 2 inches and then move back to 90 to get it back, and I would fluctuate between 5'10" and 6 foot forever.
Yeah.
Tiger Mike, Emory Jones doesn't seem as good as last year at right tackle. Is he injured? People just getting around him more. I think Emory's just a natural guard. I don't know if he's any better or worse than last year. In fact, he won SEC Player of the Week this year for O-line. So I guess in the view of somebody did well, but
Yeah.
I think that he has faced some tough competition. I think that a lot of people want to test him more than they want to test Will Campbell, which puts him at a disadvantage. I don't think I think he's going to be a first round pick and he's going to play guard in the NFL.
That's my outlook as well. I still don't think he's a tackle, and we've said this since he signed, almost like we think he's a guard. So yeah, I think some of those are just lumps that he's taken. Like you said, people don't love trying Will Campbell consistently. I think the right side of the offensive line in general, they think they can push a little bit more. But yeah, Emery has struggled at times this year. I don't think that's a secret. But I still think he's very talented, and I think
He's uber talented.
an NFL team will have no problem
And
taking a bet on him.
the advantage is never with the offensive tackle. It's always with the D end or the edge rusher or whomever he's coming off the edge, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to win every one of them, but they have kept Nuss very clean, which is the point. Go Tigers 107 with Tyree Adams out, who's the next man up on the line. Matty B, we talked about this. We would pick Weston Davis or Bengal based off of what we saw in preseason camp.
Yeah. Hopefully Weston has continued to improve at the rate that, you want him to, because he's ultra talented. So we'll see.
South of 40 asked if he should just give up on Nuss pulling it and running one. No. I don't think so. I think it's still going to be there. Brian Kelly Jocelyn will yell at him enough to where he'll eventually pull one down and go get you 7-8 yards and a first down.
Yeah, I mean, heck, he pulled the one against Arkansas and then turned to the sideline and started laughing and
he did
and grinning over there. So he knows it.
And he escaped and pulled one at Ole Miss.
Look, I think having a quarterback that can run would help the run game, but I don't know if there's enough times Garrett Nussmeier can pull it and run with it to make a defense second guess trying to stop the run initially, if that makes sense. Like, I just don't think that it changes things, and I do not want like Nussmeier. What was it? The bad snap where he had to tuck it and run and just into like the guards against Arkansas, and then he gets up kind of limping. I'm like, man, I do not care about Garrett Nussmeier running the ball. I don't. Just throw the ball. He is incredible throwing the ball. He can make every throw. I think this has been completely overrated and overstated because we were used to Jaden Daniels running out there. Sure, it'd be nice if he could run like Jaden or Joe, but he doesn't, and he doesn't want to. So just keep throwing
I think people just want to see him go grab those easy yards. But
yeah,
in the
but
mind of a Nuss, he thinks, I'll just throw it to Mason Taylor right there and he'll get it.
Like, yeah, no, again, take those for sure. But the ones of pulling a read option and running for yards, like, I don't think that changes anything, because I don't think Nussmeier is getting more than a few yards here or there to do it. And yeah, sure, keep the defense honest, but I don't need Nussmeier to keep a defense honest. I want him to be able to throw the ball all over the field.
No, two more. Noah Fan said it's a future question, but how does Harlan Berry, the 5-star number 1 running back in the country that they've got committed out of New Orleans, cut into Caden Durham snaps next season? He looked at Durham getting 58% of the carries, got 21 to 5 for the others. This past weekend, that's a no-lose situation. I don't know what Frank's approach will be, but I'll say this. Harlan Berry can catch the football out of the backfield so well. And we've seen Durham do it already once, but I think that's an element that very quickly they will be putting into the playbook and using Harlan Berry with. So expect him on the field, but Durham obviously is earning his way, and good problem to have, as you said. And JT Lindsay coming in, and Caleb Jackson will be back.
Yeah.
Running game will be much stronger next year. Last one, Matty B, Tiger Mike, over under on 8.5 penalties on Saturday at A&M in Kyle Field. He is going over because of crowd noise and that we have at least 5 starts. I'll give you the facts here if you want them.
Go ahead.
LSU and A&M both average 7.4 penalties per game. I guess that's accepted penalties too.
Yeah. Obviously. I mean, I would say
I'm going under. I'm going 8.
I'll go optimistic. I'll go under.
I'm going 8
because I hope they don't have another game with double.
I don't think they're going to have that many. I think that they could have 3 or 4 false starts, but I could see them getting some defensive pass interferences or some, holding or whatever.
I'll say this. I mean, the defense really didn't have many penalties against Arkansas.
No, but I mean, things happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm not saying they never will, but
disconcerting signals, illegal shift on offense. There are things that have. So I'll go 8. I think that the O-line is going to keep that to him. DJ Chester's not going to go out there and false start you again 5 times.
Hope not. But yeah, there you go. There's the Mailbag Pod. We'll be back.
That's it.
On Friday with our preview podcast. If you don't want to wait that long, if you're a subscriber to the Bengal Tiger On3, I'll have stuff up. Shea will have stuff up. We'll all have Brian Kelly,
Jarrett, Tyler,
everybody. Everybody will have content up of not just the game, but recruiting and everything like that. So stay tuned.
And I's recruiting pod will drop on Thursday as well. So
there you go. You heard it here first. So
Boom.
be on the lookout for that. Thank you all for joining us. Leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. Leave us a comment, share, and like on YouTube.
And
Yeah,
sign up for the Bengal Tiger. It's only $1.
do it. Subscribe to the Bengal Tiger on 3. We appreciate y'all for joining us. We will talk to y'all later.